the freak is a sub hunter. So can you explain that?
Well, sure. Yeah, I to pay for college, I enlisted in the Navy, and I tested into whatever job they thought I was best at, and I was a surface warfare, anti-submarine warfare was what I was trained in, and then the Iraq War actually. The first Iraq War broke out while I was in basic training, so I was activated. And all the deadly submarines that we all know Iraq has. This is a joke. I was I was deployed to implement those. So yeah, that's the sub hunter part of my past.
Okay. Now I didn't get a chance to read your books yet, only because I first learned of you 5-6 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have time to get your books. You sent me a list of the various books and what they're about. The one that I know you have 6 books in all. You have 5 nonfiction and 1 fiction. And the book that really seemed to interest me the most is Quantum Rapture. The Quantum Rapture, is that a nonfiction book?
Yeah, that's my only sci-fi book I've ever written. And I only wrote it in sci-fi because it was the best language to translate the idea that it had. Okay. So the costume is sci-fi. However, the idea that's conveyed, it's very much kind of in line with all my other writings and things like that.
Yeah, it basically explains that Satan is an ancient computer program to make us grow faster. So maybe later on in the interview, if we have time, I'd like to get into that. But there were so many viewer questions and responses to the things you said. And so I have them all down here. Just about all of these come from viewers. Maybe there's a couple of my own that I changed, but I want to get right into it. You talked about the Bible. You said that you put more energy into the Bible than any other book. Is the Bible divinely inspired? Does it prophesy the future? Why is the Bible different than any other holy book? What are your thoughts on it, James?
So I don't want to say that the Bible is unique or holds a special place, say, in relation to other books. I believe it's just deeply esoteric simply because it traces a footprint before shame could cover it up. Most of our history is curated by a victor. And sometimes you have a lot of luck. You're able to see what humanity's thinking at a certain point in time. And I just think that the scriptures that we have, and more importantly, the way that they've been edited, show us the most about the human psyche and where he came from. So is the Bible itself the living word of God, and every other book not the living word of God? No, I don't think that at all. But I also have a fundamentally different view on what humanity is. And so I think mankind itself is natural. And to look at the belief in God, we did an inversion, a polarity switch. There was a time where we considered the entire world to be sacred. This is like maybe more of a Native American kind of belief. And since in that view, the entire world is sacred, but we profane certain parts of it by doing something profane in a certain area. Meanwhile, on the other side of the pole, you have this religion, the Bible traces this, where instead of everything being sacred, the entire world is profane. And instead, you consecrate a certain part of this world, say a church or synagogue or home or a family or a marriage. And then, so it's an inversion kind of a way of looking at it. I'm not arguing one's better than the other. I'm more just looking at the experience that this teaches us about why we had this shift in the way that we think about spirituality and mankind himself.
Thank you. A viewer said this in the comment section. A couple of points James made harkens back to a couple of quotes from Neville Goddard. Number one, there is no reality but consciousness. And number two, everyone is you pushed out. Do you feel these two quotes are a good representation of your general outlook on reality?
I think that the key to understanding reality is to not have a static framework or instrumentation and keep that on at all times. I think that when you look at the Vedic traditions or the Hindu idea of Vishnu or God, you see a many-faced God. The many faces are really many perspectives, many emotional tangents that you can approach something. So what reality is seems to be more fluid, seems to be more like consciousness itself. In that way, we can't really look or understand things in this simplistic mindset of objective or even subjective. A better look would be to call it fractal. And the fractal is going to be unwinding itself based on where you are in that positioning point. So it's a 0 point. It kind of brings you back to a 0 point where everything is in the center, and that center is in fact your awareness. This idea of consciousness being the center is completely contradictory to everything that we've been taught since we've been growing up. But I wouldn't necessarily say you have to look at it in that way. It's more about a very healthy ability to morph your cosmology in